Lordy mercy, why do you think? What? Sometimes I just get so impressed with the way these videos and things come out. Well, today, people, I want to talk about let's get real. There's so many things going on in this world, so many worries, or so many stuff that's just messing us all up. So let's get real. Climate change. We can play shoulda, coulda, would all we want to, but what's going to happen is going to happen now. There ain't nothing we can do to stop it. Now you say, well, we can stop by not adding all this type of like gas and stuff like that. I think it's called fluorocarbon, methane, and different type of stuff like that being let off into the air that killing that what we call the ozone. Now you know what I mean by ozone, don't you? Ozone is what the different levels are with the atmosphere. The ozone keeps all the air and temperatures down to a certain level. You destroy that ozone and all that holds temperature and stuff like that down goes out into space. I'm going to get real with you. I've been doing some reading, and the reading I've been doing is on climate change. Now, you know there's a scientific community out there called Paleontologists. Did I say that right? Boy, I believe I did. Paleontologists. They're sponsored a lot by NOAA. And everybody knows that NOAA only tells the truth. But this paleontologists, what they do is they study these little ice cores that they take at different places around the earth. Well, I thought it was from Antarctica, but they take it from other places. You know, these ice cores that you see, they're layered by the year. And they could go on down, I think, something like 400 or 4,000 meters down and tell what was happening in the air at that time by the bubbles in the ice. What does the bubble tell you? Well, the bubble tells you what type of gases was in the air at the time that part froze. So, like the rings on a tree tells you the growth of the tree, so does the bubble and where they're at. And the ice tells you what was happening in the air at that time. And I think one of the studies takes them back over 500,000 years ago, and the Earth was filled with more carbon than it was oxygen at the time. Even though it was enough for us, but there was still enough there. But they've taken it back over about 1 million years, and they realized that the carbon back then was way less, more than what it is now. So that kind of tells me that the air was pretty bad back then. Not as bad as it is now, but it was pretty bad. But now we're going to go along with these climatologists, uh, paleoclimatologists. We're going to look at the archaeologists. Did I say that right? Why, I believe it is. Paleoarchaeologists. They're doing the same thing, studying climate and things based upon what they see in the rock. Now you got archaeologists out there digging in the dirt all the time, finding all types of fossils and bones and stuff like that. But these paleoarchaeologists, they're looking for different signs about what was happening to the weather at the time. Now, what they discovered about the same time as the ice core was studied is that there was a lot of carbon in the air, lots less oxygen than what it is right now. But we didn't need much oxygen because not many people would get up that high. But they come up, and this before there was any type of volcanoes going off and stuff like that. But they realized that about this time, about 1,000,000 years ago, that there was a major event took place. And they looked around and they couldn't see anything, not by the paleoarchaeologists and not by the paleoclimatologists. They didn't know. But something major happened. Thing is, it just about happened 5 years later, 500,000 years later. What does that tell you? About every 500,000 years, stuff like this happens. Well, what does that tell me? Well, about every 500,000 years, and that's about what we're getting close to. We got a few years to go to get to that 500,000, but we're getting very damn close. This is 2021. 500,000 years coming up real fast. But then again, we didn't really keep track of time until way back to a certain point. You know it could have been almost 500,000 years ago. It shouldn't be 2021 then. If you take in BC and AD and you add them all together, well, we got almost over 100,000 years that we know of, and probably more that we don't know of. And what does that say? Our times are off. Now, before I go on, I want to tell you this story about myself. I went to the doctor one time, and I was having trouble breathing. And yeah, I smoke, and I was thinking that I was coming down with lung cancer or something like that. So I went to the doctor. Now, the doctor didn't like smoking or all like that. And he checked me out, and I turned out to be all right. But he gave me a long lecture about cancer, lung cancer. And he let me know, it's not one thing going to give you cancer. He says, your smoking ain't going to give you cancer, even though you got a higher chance of getting it. He says it's a cumulative effect that causes cancer. I said, well, what do you mean? And the doctor went on to tell me that it's not one thing that causes you to have cancer. It's a combination of lots of things that can cause you to have cancer, especially that of the lungs. But it says if you're a smoker, you've got more of a chance of getting something going on in your chest than anybody else. So you need to quit smoking. Well, I took his advice. I listened to him, but I didn't quit smoking. I just changed the way I smoked, what I smoked. Nope, I'm not talking about weed. I'm talking about I eliminated man-made paper from what I smoke. Because it's like anything, you throw a monkey wrench in it, it's going to break. I take the tar out of it, there's less chance of me getting cancer because tar is one of the things that can cause cancer, so is nicotine. So is caffeine, and all these other things cause cancer. But anyway, back to my story. Back to the effects on the climate. But what is this cumulative effect that I'm having on the climate that I'm thinking about? Well, let's go back to the years of the dinosaurs walking upon the earth. Now we know that this happened. Now that's not a person on the earth that could be driving a car if there was a dinosaur that died and rotted and made all this mass oil and sludge underneath the earth's crust and all like that. It happened. So we know the dinosaurs were here. But what's in dispute is what killed them. There's a lot of people saying that there was an asteroid hit off of here off in the Gulf of Mexico, off a little place called the Yucatan Peninsula. I like saying that word, Yucatan Peninsula. By the way, there was an asteroid hit there, sent up a lot of debris and stuff that floated into the clouds. It was the shock wave and everything that killed all dinosaurs, even though it killed quite a bit. It was that dust stuff in the air that caused an ice age to come by, taking out all the oxygen from where the dinosaurs roamed. They just died. Everything died because of that dust in the air. Not from the asteroid hitting. Even though, like I said, the asteroid did take out quite a bit. But it was dust and stuff that was released into the atmosphere, into our ozone layer, that took our oxygen out and about killed us. Well, why was that? About 5 million years ago. Now, that's just a short period of time, maybe a little bit longer than that. Now, you can look it up and find out for yourself. Either way, I started thinking, if that asteroid was there, why was it there? Well, we ain't got asteroids all over the place, and none of them were supposed to hit them. So I started looking at the cumulative effect. If the ozone gets harmed and starts going away, there's certain things that's going to happen. Just like if you're taking and jumping out of a tree and going to land on a rock, certain things are going to happen. You're either going to hurt your feet, hurt your butt, or hurt your head. Either way, you shouldn't do that. Don't jump out of a tree. But when you take the ozone out, there are certain things that happen. Now, one of the things is that our oxygen that we breathe to help us keep us alive kind of finds a way into the atmosphere, to the stratosphere. It's all these little places up there. And now, what holds that in is that atmosphere. And the atmosphere is held in by what's called a belt. What was the name of that belt? Van Halen? No, Van Ralen. Van Ralen belt. And that's what it's called. But it's not just our oxygen that is held in. Our gravity is held in check. Our gravity can only go so far, and then that's it. Even though it can go a bit more for long enough, it just has to get such pull because of the atmosphere and the band ray and band. I like saying that. Just like I do Yucatan Peninsula. But either way, that gravity goes up. You know that's why it holds us down. No, it's not that we're going to fly off the earth. It's just that gravity then has a higher reach into space than what it does right now. And why is that? Remember, cumulative effect that I'm talking about is that something had happened back then to the ozone as it is now. They read the ice cores, and about 500,000 years ago, our oxygen level was less than what it is now. And why is that? Because it had to start building back up again. And building back up because it has been released in space. The ozone was in the midst of healing. The ozone's going to come back. I did for a while. Not the way we're going. But anyway, on the climate change, I started thinking about what the doctor said about more than one thing causing cancer. And I started thinking, well, there may be more than one thing that actually brought that asteroid down. And I started thinking, especially since this COVID come in, could a virus have killed off all the dinosaurs? Nah, couldn't kill them all. But, like us during the plague, probably a lot of them did. And they got me thinking, yeah, when one of us goes through a plague or something like that, we know what to do with our dead. What did the dinosaurs do with their dead? They couldn't eat all of them. So it would make them sick and then they would die. That's like going into a hospital, a COVID patient, and having them all sneeze on you at one time. You think you could come out of there without COVID? Die. You will. But I started thinking about all those dinosaurs. Could a virus of some kind have started killing them? Well, yeah. This many things, they didn't lead a sedentary life like we did. No, they got out there. They eat whatever, trapped here and there. No man, no telling how much doggy do they stepped into. Got on miles their feet. No telling how many droppings that each one of those dinosaurs put down to the earth. There's just so many cumulative effects that just start killing dinosaurs. And they didn't bury them there. No. So what happened to them? Likely not. Them dead dinosaurs, they lay on the ground and eat the rotted. But there it goes again. What happens when flesh of any kind, leather, whatever, rots? It produces methane. And what does methane happen? A type of fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon, that's a weakened ozone. Oh, the cumulative effects again, back to it. First of virus, killing off the dinosaurs, releasing the methane into the air, and the air then becomes, it permeates the ozone, kind of filters it out and starts killing it and destroying it. And remember, I told you one of the things about the ozone, it holds our gravity in. With the ozone weakening and going away, then our gravity reaches further into space than what it normally does. And how far in space, nobody really knows. But the possibilities are very good that it reached high enough to one of them asteroids coming close to the Earth got pulled towards the Earth. Now that would explain a lot, wouldn't it? An asteroid coming to the Earth. Now nothing about the ozone. I told you hold all of our air and all like that and stuff in it. Well, by having the ozone there, it makes our atmosphere too thick, like pea soup or a rock or a landslide. They come into the earth, gets burned up coming in. All that breaking and vibrating back and forth, it just burns it up until there's nothing left of it. But now, if the ozone is gone, the atmosphere is not as thick. Cumulative effect. So the asteroid being pulled in by the gravity reaching higher into space than what it normally does, and grabs a hold of one of them there asteroid passing by it all the time and pulls it towards him. You didn't have no meteorology, no meteorologists. You didn't have no scientists back then to forecast what was happening. No, you just had dinosaurs. They didn't know anything. They couldn't tell. But all that dying life telling it had to happen. Just like us and our factories and all like that during the time when we were building a lot of stuff in our factories and all like that. But anyway, they released lots of carbon into the air, and lots of stuff like that, killing our ozone. I'm pretty sure the dinosaurs did the same thing. History does have a hand way of repeating itself. But again, it's a cumulative effect. And I started thinking, well, if we didn't release all that automobile exhaust into the air and all them factories did release all that stuff in the air, would still have happened? The chances are good, yes it would. Remember, it's a cumulative effect. Some guys get lung cancer and die right away. Some people get lung cancer and it takes them 2 or 3 years to die. A cumulative effect. It builds up. It's going to happen once it happens. Well, just want to know. Oh, my phone just keeps on ringing, ringing, ringing. I ain't going to answer that thing. Just let it go. Anyway, that cumulative effect back then during dinosaurs may have been what destroyed them. So if it destroyed them, but then could it still happen again? Well, chances are good that it can. That climate change is going to happen just like it did back then. And things going to happen. There just ain't no way of stopping it. We may go through a phase in our life right now where it's nothing but hot heat happening. Then we may be going through a phase to where it's colder than snow. That's when the bear won't crap in the wood because he'll be too afraid to stump a toe on his way out. Either way, it's all a cumulative effect. Should we prevent this from going happening? Well, I guess we can try our best because after all, it's a cumulative effect. Will it stop it from happening? No, it's not going to stop it from happening. So there ain't going to be none of them to be able to stop it. You can't go back up there and throw canisters of air and stuff like that up there think you're going to fix it. No. It's like that train and that snowball going downhill. Once it picks up speed and momentum, there ain't no stopping it. The snowball, you may be able to put a block onto it. But that train, you stand in front of that train while it's starting to roll downhill, and it's just going to plow you over. It's all about a cumulative effect. Could it have happened, like I said in the past, with the dinosaurs? It's more likely that it did than it didn't. Because that would explain the asteroid being coming through the atmosphere and not burn up and hit the Yucatan Peninsula, where they said that asteroid was about the size of New York City when he hit it on there. Well, we know that things burning up reduces its size to where it's just a quarter of what it was. But then, if we ain't got the atmosphere, it may not burn it all up. Matter of fact, what they've been digging and finding out in that Yucatan Peninsula is that it's a hard iron core asteroid that hit us. It's full of nickel, magnesium, gold, other things like that. Yeah, they were hard metal, but normally all that stuff gets burned up before it hits us. It just didn't at that time. And I had to ask, is there a cumulative effect that created a climate change that created that asteroid hitting and finishing off the dinosaurs. And if we're doing the same thing, is there a cumulative effect happening to us right now? Oh, no, mercy. Yes, there is a cumulative effect. Anyway, I've given you some things to think about. Look it up. Check it out for yourself. I'm going to smoke my cigarette. See who it was calling me on the phone there. Put a like on this and tell y'all to have a good day. You do it. All right. Bye bye. Let's get real.